What if America's power isn't just about its weapons, economy, or influence, but about 10 silent partnerships holding everything together? Imagine waking up to find your smartphone doesn't work, gas prices triple, and grocery shelves run empty. All because a few nations decided to walk away. These aren't enemies, they're allies, suppliers, lenders, and lifelines. And if they ever flip the script, the entire foundation of American dominance could collapse like dominoes. Who are these countries? And why? Number 10. China. Think about this. What would happen if overnight your phone, your laptop, even your kids' toys disappeared from store shelves? That's the kind of influence China holds. This country manufactures more than 28% of the world's goods, surpassing the US, Japan, and Germany combined. From smartphones to solar panels, China quietly powers our daily lives. But that's just the start. China also owns over $800 billion of US debt, leverage that goes beyond numbers. If trade were weaponized or exports halted, Walmart's shelves would thin out and industries could grind to a stop. But the biggest risk isn't losing products, it's losing leverage. The US leans on China far more than most realize, and if that reliance is ever severed, the shockwaves would ripple through every corner of the economy. Number 9. Russia. Gas prices are already high. Now imagine them tripling by morning. That's the kind of market panic Russia could spark. As the second largest oil exporter globally, Russia holds nearly 10% of oil output, along with dominance in natural gas, wheat, and essential metals. But it's not just raw materials. It's geopolitical muscle. With the world's largest nuclear stockpile and deep regional influence, Russia's decisions can flip global markets. If Moscow were to tilt entirely east, back out of space and cyber partnerships, or stir up NATO tensions, the consequences for the US could be immediate and severe. They're not just a threat, they're a variable America can't afford to miscalculate. Number 8. Saudi Arabia. A desert kingdom might not seem like it holds global sway, but Saudi Arabia can shift oil prices with a single policy change. Scene 2. Oil reserves and shifting alliances. They control about 17% of the world's oil reserves, and their influence runs deep. Historically, the US and Saudi Arabia had a deal oil security in exchange for protection. But that balance is shifting. The kingdom is now diversifying its alliances, strengthening ties with rival nations, and even trading oil in currencies outside the dollar. Scene 3. Potential consequences. That's more than symbolic. If oil is no longer priced in dollars, the foundation of US currency dominance could begin to crack. And Saudi Arabia's decisions affect not just gas prices, but political strategy across the Middle East. If they pivot away from Washington, others may follow, and not all with friendly intentions. Number 7. India. You may not realize it, but India, the world's most populous country, is a cornerstone of America's tech backbone. With over 1.4 billion people and one of the fastest-growing economies, India is strategically vital. It's the center of global IT outsourcing, powering everything from cloud services to app development. If that pipeline were disrupted, US companies big and small would feel the crunch. India is also a military and geopolitical heavyweight in Asia. Its alignment with the US helps maintain balance against rising powers like China. But New Delhi is forging its own path. If it decides to remain neutral in key conflicts or pivot to new tech alliances, America could lose a key buffer in the East, and with it, a massive share of future innovation. Number 6. Germany. Germany may not have oil or nukes, but its influence runs deep. As Europe's largest economy and the de facto leader of the European Union, Germany anchors one of America's most important trade relationships. If Germany stumbles, the ripple hits the entire Western economic system. But it's not just money, it's military. With over 30,000 US troops stationed there, Germany is a strategic springboard into Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. If Berlin changes course, distances itself from NATO, or tightens ties with Eastern powers, US influence in the region could collapse. Germany also sets the tone for diplomatic stances, from climate to human rights. Lose that alignment, and America's voice in Europe could get a whole lot quieter. Number 5. Japan. Look around. Odds are something near you was made with Japanese parts. Japan is a silent tech titan supplying precision components that drive everything from cars to computers. But it goes further. Japan hosts more than 50,000 US troops, a crucial presence in managing tensions with China and North Korea. Should Japan ever step back from this arrangement or shift toward a neutral defense posture, America's entire Pacific strategy could unravel. On the financial side, Japan is the top holder of US Treasury bonds, over $1 trillion. If they pulled out, it wouldn't just shock markets, it would scream instability to investors worldwide. The US-Japan relationship is built on shared trust, but if that falters, the consequences could be massive. Number 4. South Korea. Don't let its size fool you. South Korea punches far above its weight. As a global leader in semiconductors and consumer tech, it fuels the devices we use every day. Without Korean chips, the US tech sector wouldn't just slow, it could stall completely. South Korea is also central to America's security game in Asia, positioned right at North Korea's doorstep. With 30,000 US troops based there, it's a frontline defense zone. But there's a twist. Seoul is growing closer economically to China, a potential headache for US interests. If South Korea ever aligns more with Beijing, America would face a dual loss, both in regional security and technological leadership. Number 3. United Kingdom. For decades, the US and UK have operated like twins, partners in war, intelligence, and diplomacy. But cracks are forming. Political turbulence post-Brexit and rising internal pressures are changing the UK's role on the global stage. If it pulls back from its close alignment with the US, the consequences go beyond diplomacy. The UK is part of the Five Eyes intelligence network, meaning it holds keys to America's most sensitive secrets. It's also a vital ally in NATO and the UN. Without the UK, the US loses more than a partner. It loses a voice, a mirror, and an amplifier for its global policies. This isn't just friendship, it's critical infrastructure. Number 2. Israel. It's no bigger than New Jersey, yet it holds immense weight in America's global strategy. Israel is a key ally in cybersecurity, cutting-edge defense tech, and critical intelligence sharing. Systems like Iron Dome, co-developed with US funding, showcase the depth of this partnership. But it's not just tech. Strategically, Israel anchors US interests in the Middle East, a region pulsing with volatility, oil, and emerging rivals. If this alliance cracks, America loses not just eyes and ears, but strategic influence in one of the world's most critical regions. Add to that the political reality, US-Israel relations aren't just foreign policy, they resonate through domestic politics, religious ties, and public opinion. But tensions over settlements and regional diplomacy have strained the bond. If Israel ever decides to pivot away, Washington's grip on the Middle East weakens dramatically. Number 1. Turkey. Yes, Turkey. A NATO ally, but also a geopolitical wildcard. Turkey controls the Bosphorus Strait, a vital artery for global energy flow. Losing that access could send shockwaves through oil markets. Even more critical, it houses US nuclear weapons at Incirlik Air Base. That's a dangerous dependency. And while Turkey remains a NATO member, it's played both sides, cozying up to Russia while engaging with the West. Its role in approving NATO expansions gives it outsized leverage. A single veto from Ankara can freeze military strategies across Europe. If Turkey shifts fully eastward or leverages its power to demand concessions, America loses more than a partner. It loses a keystone. In the power chessboard of East and West, Turkey isn't just a piece, it's a pivot. So, what if just one of these relationships broke overnight? What would happen to your gas prices, your phone, your freedom to travel? These 8 countries may not be enemies, but their choices, their shifts, their silence could change everything. America's power doesn't stand alone. It stands on connections, and the world's balance is more fragile than we think. If you found this eye-opening, you'll want to see what happens when we dive into America's most unpredictable allies next. Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share this before someone blames the wrong country.